with the recording. Is Monday, November 24th. If you're watching, this is the Massachusetts Select Board meeting. And as always, we start with public comment. Is there, I'm going to start in the room. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak for public comment? I see no one. Is there anyone online who wishes to? Okay, we are going to move on. We have a public hearing for an alcohol license change for the Red Heat Tavern. Is there someone who wishes to make a motion to open the hearing?
Move the open public hearing for the Red Heat Tavern license change.
Second it?
And I think this is a roll call vote, right? Is it?
No.
No, no. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it, 5-0.
So this is really a formality for us this evening, going from 150 to 152, so it's really a correction of their license, but because of...
Comment on this public hearing? Seeing none in the room, is there any online? Okay, no one online.
Just one more second to check the participant list, and, yep, no hands raised online.
And Matt, I apologize, I kind of rushed through that. Did you say the applicant is here? And they should be?
No, they're not.
Oh, you can answer, okay.
Sorry.
All right. Does anyone on the board have any questions?
I would say panic set in.
I,
Are they leaving?
Yeah.
And I checked with Matt, Matt's like, I'm okay. So the residents have been calling.
I particularly paid attention to that too. Okay. Is there a motion to close the
I
hearing?
move to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Have it 5-0. Do we have any further motions?
I move the board to approve the change of address application for Red Heat Tavern LLC located at 152 Great Road as presented.
Do we have a second? Okay, that is Sean who seconded it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it 5-0. Thank you, Red Heat. Okay. We have another.
Issue with an incorrect address, is that what happened? And they had to fix it, or?
Yeah, I don't know if it was them or the ABCC that brought it to us. Their attention. Is it them directly? You found it? Oh, Autumn found it. Okay, we found it.
And then,
Wow, Autumn, good job.
What if you had?
wow, looking for troubles where there weren't one, but that's excellent. And I'm sorry, Matt, I don't
Shut 'em
have,
down, but no.
Now, there's been a real problem. A lot of public comments for that.
so Matt, question for you. We started that at like 7:02, and I wasn't paying attention to the time posted. Are we copacetic
They're all
on that?
sevens.
No.
They're all sevens? Okay, all right, very good.
They're anticipating we're moving fast.
Very.
They know there's an efficient chair here. Okay, is there a motion to open the next one?
Someone,
Okay, is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay, that second, then we're going to give that to Terrence. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it, 5-0. Is there anything you'd like to tell us about this one, Matt?
Great. It's a pretty straightforward application on behalf of Ginger for a transfer of ownership. So we do have Attorney Hugh on the line on behalf of the new applicant, Ginger Lou Incorporated. So we will allow her to talk now.
All right, and I'm sorry, what's the name?
Attorney Hugh?
Hugh.
I could be pronouncing that incorrectly, so.
We might need some help with that one. But Attorney Hugh, if you would like to go ahead and tell the board what's what, we would be more than happy to listen.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for reviewing our application. This is very straightforward transfer application. The proposed manager has been the front person at the restaurant since 2000, since before the pandemic. She's very familiar with the day-to-day operation at the premises. And since the owner, Mei Ling Ku and Mr. Xu, they are retiring, so they offered my client to purchase this restaurant business. And she is having her son to run the business with her. So they are basically just another family business. She and her son, and she herself will be the proposed alcohol manager. Other than that, there's no change in operation or the operating hours.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask if there are any board questions, then I'm going to go to the public. Does the board have any questions? No questions from the board. Is there anyone present who has any questions or wishes to speak There being no one, I would ask if there is anyone online.
We do have one online, Mark Mullins.
Mark, please go ahead. Hello, Mark. Do you wish to
Can you hear
speak? Yeah, we can now, sure, go ahead.
Okay, apologies, this is off topic. I was trying to make a public comment at the beginning, but I was on the phone. and-
Okay, Mark, so let me, hold on, Mark. No. I will, let me finish with this meeting, and then I will ask my board if they'll be okay with you speaking after this hearing, which probably is not going to take much longer. But in the interest of the applicant, I want to finish this particular thing. Hold on, give it a few minutes, and I'll ask my board if they'll allow you to speak. Fair? Okay, well, let's put them on mute. Okay, there's no one else wishing to speak on this topic, so I would ask if there's a motion to close
Move
the
to close
hearing.
public hearing?
Second that.
Okay, that's, all in favor of closing this, please say aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it, 5-0. Is there a motion on the substance of the hearing?
I move the board to approve the transfer license application from KH&GC Restaurant Incorporated, doing business as Ginger Japanese Cuisine, to Ginger Lu Incorporated, doing business as Ginger Japanese Cuisine, located at 88 Great Road as presented.
Second?
Okay, before we take a vote, I will say, I have a feeling this is going to go well, and we wish your client the best of luck, and how exciting for them. So with that,
Wonderful. Thank you
yeah,
so much.
of course, this is really great stuff. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any nays? I am correct once again, it passed 5-0. Thank you so much.
No one's keeping track, Paul.
Okay, no, someone's keeping track. It's man in the mirror. You get 3 minutes, go ahead.
All right, I appreciate it, Jen. I wasn't, I called in and I wasn't able to comment on it.
That eats into your 3 minutes, get going.
I'd like to comment on the town's energy and sustainability programs. In 2025, the average Massachusetts electric rate is 30 cents per kilowatt hour, which is double the national average. Just for electricity, that works out to $168 per month. Electric rates have skyrocketed in the last, by 40% in the last 5 years, and natural gas rates have also skyrocketed. In 2017, Bedford voted to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by 2050. That initial net zero plan called for comprehensive action across residential, commercial, and industrial sectors, in addition to municipal. The net zero plan includes a range of measures that would help Bedford residents save money on their out-of-control utility bills while also reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Unfortunately, the Select Board and the Energy and Sustainability Committee have abandoned this plan, and they've abandoned the people's mandate to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Instead, the ESC spends all of their time on municipal facilities, which represent only 2% of the town's greenhouse gas emissions. If the ESC doesn't change course, people's utility bills will continue to eat into their wallet. And if they don't change course, we're never going to get to that 80% GHG reduction goal, which was mandated by the people of Bedford. The ESC, the Energy Sustainability Committee, and the Select Board have ignored the people for far too long. It's time to start tackling commercial and residential energy. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Moving on, yet another public hearing. Do you want to come forward? And I would ask that one of my board members could, I think we have to move to
I
open it,
move to
right?
open the FY26 tax rate classification hearing.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any nays? The ayes have it, and if you would kindly, and maybe if you make sure you try to speak on the microphone, that would be great.
Sure. Nancy Wolk, Chair of the Assessors for Daniels Drive, and I'd like to introduce our new town assessor. This is Rick Ladd.
Hey, Rick,
You want
Pleased to meet you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
So, thank you for bringing that up. I just want to warn you, there's going to be a lot of numbers. Please don't panic. We boil it down for you, but we also wanted to present as much data as we could. So, first part is we're just going to go over how we set up the tax rates. We're going to show you what our calculations are, show you the issues that you will have to vote on, And then there's any questions or recommendation, we will give you our recommendation. And then if you have questions, bug us. That's what we're here for. So setting the tax rate, basically we use the sales ending January 1st, 2020.
Oh, I beg your pardon, hold on, Nancy.
I don't believe we voted to open the public hearing yet. This should probably be on the record as part of the,
Oh,
unless we
moved.
did.
I moved.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And I second.
and did I actually take the vote? Because I've been known not to do that.
I thought we did.
Autumn says yes.
Autumn says yes, so I'm going to trust Autumn. And,
I just wanted to
All right. We're good. Thanks.
I hope you haven't lost your mojo, Nancy.
Oh, so sorry.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Train right back on the rail.
So basically, we are following the Department of Revenue's sales requirements to determine what the valuations are. We find what the property tax levy is. This is based on the things that are voted in at the town meeting, whether it's the annual or the extra one, special. We determine the assessed value of the town properties. Then we're going to calculate assessed values by our class. We obtain certification, we've already done this. And now we're presenting the classification options and tax shift options with you. So if we can skip. So these are the changes in the property valuation. We're going to talk about residential, and then often we put commercial, industry, and personal property together as CIP. So if I say that, that's what I'm discussing. As you see, the value has increased from 5.5 million, did I get that right? Billion.
5 billion.
To 5.8 billion. We've had an increase of about 5%. These calculations are done from 7/1/2024 until 6/30/2025. This is our fiscal year. And the next slide. How do we figure out what we need to collect? Basically, we have to start from last year's numbers. We start with the total before any debt exclusion and overrides, and that's our starting point. We are allowed to increase the levy by 2.5%. We add in any new growth, we get a new value, then we have to include the debt exclusion, any overrides, and this gives us our maximum permitted levy, which is 97 million?
Million.
I'm having trouble with numbers. 97
million
million. Our unused levy limit is going down. And we can't change that. That is what the town has chosen to spend the money on. But I do want to keep people's, in general, aware that we are getting closer and closer to the levy limit. Next slide. Whoops. So if we took those numbers and applied a single rate to Bedford, so every property pays the same amount, it would be $16.06 per thousand of valuation. As you see, our average single-family home and the median single-family home have gone up in value in Bedford. So valuation keeps going up, it does affect our taxes. Now, we wanted to bring in changes in property value in different neighborhoods. First, I'll just show this beautiful chart because it has all the full numbers. But if we skip to the next slide, we've broken it down by neighborhoods so you can actually see where. So I said the single rate. So if we kept the rate so that we have the same residential tax rate and CIP tax rate, commercial, industry, and personal property, we would all pay $16.06 per thousand. Typically, we do shift this value so that the commercial pays more of their share. And we have a few different values here. The maximum is doing a shift of 1.75. And if we chose to do that this year, that would leave the residential at 12.49 and the CIP at 20.1. You could go to the next slide. This just gives you an idea of how we figure out this shift. So if you've seen in the before shift, residential is 77.1% of properties in value in the town. But if we can shift the tax burden over to commercial, industry, personal, then what we will find is that residential will have to pay 60% of the tax levy, not the 77.1. So commercial CIP is actually going to pay more taxes than residents. Next slide. Just to give you a rough idea of if you choose the single rate or if you choose the split rate, what that means. Let's take the average value of a home, which was $1,039,668. If we did a single rate, your taxes would be $16,697. And if we do the split rate, giving more to the CIP, then your taxes would fall about $12,985. Trust me, we know those numbers are big. We cannot affect that. I'm sorry. I wish we could keep it lower, but we can't. So if we do the split rate, residents will pay, on average, $3,700 less. This is mostly just for historical information. Our tax bills have been going up, but again, this is market values. It has to do with the spending in town, but we have slowly been moving up.
Nancy, can I ask, can I? Just having trouble with this. If you were to take like the percent increase for the average single, do you take the 1109 over 12985, and is that for the, is that the math, or is it over the 11876?
No, those numbers are the tax difference from the previous year. This is for the years 2021 through 2026. And that 1109 is the increase of the average tax bill if you have the average home valuation.
So, okay, so if I would say then my increase from 25 to 26 was 1109 over 11876, is that it?
Yes. Yep.
Just want to make sure I'm
Yes.
following. Okay.
Yeah, it would be about
Okay.
12,985.
985 less than 11,876 will give you that number.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Sir.
Can you tell how much of that is new growth and how much of it is, like, for the individual taxpayer, how much of an average tax difference are they seeing if they just have an unimproved house?
Well, the average values went up 5.5%. So that's the amount of growth that we've had.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it depends on your house, and that's why we broke it down into neighborhoods, because each neighborhood has a different average.
Yeah.
But overall, the town growth was about 5.5%.
Okay, so that's about what, because I'm just trying to separate out, I know in the average tax bill, you might have a case where a bunch of homes get built and it drives up the average tax bill, but that's not necessarily what everybody sees. So about 5.5% then is what the average person is seeing?
The 5.2% is the average increase
Okay,
overall in terms of the sales.
okay.
Yeah,
No, I'm sorry, go ahead,
I
Matt.
remember last year, Matt Lanevsky and I, we had that question, and I think after the hearing, we did go and did some creative spreadsheets on the new growth versus the average home to Sean's point, and maybe we can incorporate something in next year. The average resident who didn't have any improvements on their home would probably be slightly less than that because the homes that had additions and things are bumping up the average value in
Yeah.
town, but their tax bills have gone up to account for that as well.
Yes.
So I don't think we have a specific formula for that building here, but we just have the overall average. But I think it's good to note that if you didn't do anything to your home, it's probably gonna be a
A little
little
less
less than that.
than this.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm going to be a pest, is
Take your
some
time.
help here, which is, I'm going to state something that I think is true. And you can disabuse me of the notion or not, right? So the valuation of everything in town at one point in time, 5.5 billion, and then it went up a little bit because of market, right? Let's suspend disbelief for a moment and say the values, just the values, no trickery here, that the next year, it's actually not 5.5, but it's doubled, 11
Okay,
billion. That doesn't mean that we can increase the tax levy by double. The tax levy isn't affected by market values, correct?
If we go back to slide 6.
Yeah.
And you have the breakdown on slide 6, it's going to be, I put a couple of numbers in red up there.
that one, yes.
And when you look at those two numbers, 25 at the 92 million is pulled up to that next year to 26. So to
220, yeah.
Okay, so that following year, we do, for this year rather, we do 2.5% increase plus our growth at 1.67 there. That 96,416 is gonna be pulled up on 27. And we're gonna start the fiscal year there.
So I guess my point is, when there are increase in value, that can affect how much you pay relative to your neighbor. But just looking at a macro level, if values double in Bedford, it's not like we can now have a tax levy at just shy of 200 million.
Change that now.
Correct.
No, right. I just want to make that point because it's super confusing, and I've gone rounds and rounds, and like you smell the wood burning.
Yeah.
But I just want to make it's all relative to your neighbor. It's not.
It's relative
Yeah.
Yes.
to other people's properties, other people's sales. It's
Right,
more than
right,
sales.
right. But so to say that your property taxes go up because your home value went up, not if everyone else's home value went up by the same percentage.
Yes, and also on the unused levy limit there.
Roughly.
We see 7 point,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
7 million down the bottom there. We see 3.7 there. Obviously, in 25, we left 7.4 on the table.
Yes.
But you don't lose that.
It's
future
precisely.
Spending
Yep.
onto the next year based on this Prop 2.5 and your growth as well.
Yep. Thank you. Sorry to stop you on that, but it's just,
It is
it's helpful, I
confusing.
think, because it's so confusing.
The way things are named in Massachusetts, ooh,
We have a different word for everything.
yes.
Thank you.
So just very quickly, comparing the surrounding towns, we're a little bit higher than Burlington and Billerica. Burlington has a lot of commercial property. We have to remember that, including the mall, all the businesses, the hospitals. So they are able to keep their residential rate a bit lower. But you'll see we're pretty much in line with Lexington and Lincoln. So we're not going crazy here in the town and overspending too much.
Nancy, one question for you, though. On the hospital, is that probably taxable for them, or might that be exempt? Like, not that, you don't have to know that, but I'm just,
They merged.
So now for the real part of this talk.
Yep.
Is what are the classification and issues that are at hand? The first one is, what do we want as a minimum residential factor? This is that shift between paying $16 versus almost 13 per thousand. If we set it to 1, everybody pays the same rate. If we set it to 0.777, the split rate, residents will pay a bit less. We generally have elected to split the tax rate at the maximum allowed, and we are again recommending that the board chooses to support a split tax rate, which is a CIP shift of 175.
That would be the 1249 for residential and 2810 for commercial. CIP, rather.
The second part is you will have to vote on the open space discount. Congratulations, there are no parcels currently classified as open space in Bedford. So we recommend that the select board does not adopt an open space discount, because there's no properties it applies to. Two more things. This one is always a sticky one. Residential exemption. It's basically a tax shift where people will have the first X number, let's say 100,000 of their property's value exempted. And it turns into a progressive tax where if you own a larger home that has a higher value, you're going to more tax percentage-wise than your neighbor who has the tiny little two-bedroom, shack off to the side. We had a really good discussion about this. The Board of Assessors did not support adopting this, mostly because we do not know who in town is house rich, cash poor. So you may have lived here for 60 years, and all of a sudden your house is very, very wealthy, but you don't have that. And that's a problem of the values rising rather rapidly. So only 20 communities have adopted this. Most of them are areas where they have lots of rentals. We don't have that here.
Got it. Rick, did you have more to add on that too?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. There's a break-even point that comes up in the residential exemption. So it's not the average assessed value above and below. But it's done by the residential class only. It's their tax levy divided by qualifying parcels. Now, we have to verify in the assessor's office which ones are owner occupied, because that really does make a big difference. And then you go back and you reshift the rate. Quick example would be if you had $2 billion on a levy and you took 500 million out for the exemption, now you had a $30 million levy you were dividing into, your tax rate would become $15. Would become $20, excuse me. And if you didn't take the exemption out, that same number would be 15. So that would go back in and around as a tax rate on the single families. So you have a baseline, you can call it the middle if you will. Everybody below the line will pay less. To me, in an owner-occupied town like this, it doesn't make sense. In the communities I've been in, and there's a couple of reasons why, but you almost pit neighbors against each other, where people up here are paying for the people down here, in a sense. Unless you have a purpose behind why we're doing it. If we're just shifting it to make people pay more and less, that's one thing. But as Nancy had said, it's usually done in, vacation home areas.
Yep.
Like the Cape.
Okay.
Boston, Cambridge, those types of places.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep. And the last exemption that you will vote on is the small commercial exemption. This would allow commercial properties that are assessed for less than $1 million, and a business that has fewer than 10 employees would get a 10% assessed value discount. We have decided not to support this. The big thing is a lot of the building space in town is rented. A lot of the commercial places are not owned by the small businesses. They're owned by the landlords. And if you want to have a building that has multiple tenants, every tenant must fit the criterion to get this discount. And we're also concerned about the landlords just shifting the rates.
Yep.
They're going to keep it, they're not going to, give lower rents to their clients, and so it's not helping the small business owner.
Got it.
So,
Very helpful. Yes, Rick, of course.
Yes, we have, in the commercial class 3, we have 117 properties. Of those 117 properties, approximately 50% are $1 million or below. That would be the qualifying population based on some of the facts that Nancy.
How many again, Rick?
I'm
Sorry.
sorry? We have
Out of the 117, how many?
It'd be about 58, 59, it's half.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, then you check to see which ones are owner occupied, and you're probably talking a small number We do have commercial condos here, so it's very likely that those would be owner occupied, or, those would be owned. But the big properties, we only have 117 properties.
Okay.
And we already shifted the rate at 1.75. I don't see the need to do that, but that's up to you,
Okay.
not me.
But basically, amen to what Nancy said, right?
Yes, it was just, I wanted to get the parcel count out there, because a lot of people think it's a CIP type of thing. It's not. It's Class 3 commercial strictly. Industrial's not part of it, and personal property is not part of it. It's just in Class 3.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Just, next slide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
One more thing.
Yeah.
It's up to you guys to vote now. I'm just going to reiterate our recommendations. The Board of Assessors recommends a split tax rate by adopting a minimum residential factor of 0.777, also known as a 1.75 CIP shift. This will bring the rates to the lower number of split tax rate of $12.49 per thousand for residential and $28.10 per thousand for CIP. We do not recommend the adoption of the residential exemption or the small commercial exemption.
All right, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Should this board take all of your suggestions, do we really only need to make one motion, which is for the 0.777, 1.75% shift, and we just don't make motion on the last three? Would you want to hear a motion that says we are not adopting those last three?
I think normally we do all four, right?
Yeah, in my previous
they're separate.
communities, we've only voted on the factor, but here historically, you voted specifically not to adopt those on
Okay.
record. So
We'll see if
Yeah,
anyone
all
makes a
four of
motion.
them.
Let's leave that one up so it'll be, because
Yeah.
it's a lot to remember to make the motion. Okay, before we talk about it, let's see if there's anything the public has to say, and then we can benefit from their comment, if any. So with that, anyone in the room wish to speak? Seeing no one, I would move to anyone online who wishes to speak. All right, with that, we will move to the board. Anyone care to, Bopa?
Yeah, so in your presentation, it talks about the reevaluation in 2028.
Yes.
Is there any data we should be collecting now to better prepare for 2028? And are there any, do you foresee any anticipated regulatory or legal changes that could affect reclassification next year or 12 years?
I think what we should really focus on is what we're looking at in assuming or predicting growth may be in the future. I've been to a lot of sites recently and ground hasn't been broken for FY27. We have 7 more months to collect growth, and it's pretty slow out there. I think the next couple of years, that's going to be a big player. That's one that I'd recommend for sure. Residential, you see the condominiums going up. We will have residential growth, no question, but I'd err on the side of caution. Looking at the growth numbers over a number of years, I saw that FY25 at 2.4 million was a big growth number for the town. Generally, we average about 1.6, 1.7, right in that territory. We've been as low as 1.1 in the recent years and as high as the 2.4. So building the budget, we spent 7.6 million more this year, and we have to fund that. I would try to stay a little more lean on that, and the growth, of course. I'd predict a low number. I've calculated growth for different towns for many, many years. I see what I'm seeing. I'm not particularly liking. I'd like to see broken ground. I'd like to see projects in process, if you will. But I'm not seeing that. Driving around town, I'm sure you're not seeing that. You're probably seeing condominiums. You're probably seeing single families being torn down. There are some still commercial buildings being finished. We saw a large growth spurt in 25. We had overflow in 26. So that's why we got a lot of the growth that we got.
Okay,
So those are a couple concerns that I'll put forth.
okay, thank you for that. Bopa,
Does
is that?
that answer your question?
Oh, I'm sorry, Nancy.
Does that help
Yeah.
you, Bopa?
Yeah, thank you.
Do you want, to elaborate anyway?
I would like to elaborate on one point. We are seeing less occupancy in our commercial spaces. What this means is office space is becoming more and more open. People will apply for abatements asking for us to cut their taxes down because they're not occupied.
Got it.
So just be aware that is also starting to happen more and more.
Just mechanically too, there's, what's it called? An overlay for that kind of, it's like a reserve, is that right?
There's overlay for that. We have about 1.7 now.
Okay,
My concerns come up looking at a couple of buildings that are vacant right now that RSA occupied at 174, 176, Middlesex Turnpike. They're vacant. They were put under agreement, I was told. I didn't believe the price. I think they were trying to speed the process up to get some money back. It fell apart. Problem is, they're gonna file an FY '26 too, and they're big numbers. Right now, we're about $40 million apart. And our overlay,
wow.
yeah, it's big money. It's not short money here. And that's a concern that, thank you for bringing that up.
And the overlay reserve is the tax component. You mentioned 40, that's valuation, so you.
That was the value of the
Yes.
building.
Just,
That's-
yeah, okay.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So if we did 40, I'm gonna say that's about 1.1 or 1.2.
That's a big chunk of the overlay.
That's a
Okay.
big chunk.
So in the past, hearkening back to my FinCom days when I was on the Finance Committee, on occasion, it'd be, oh, they're going to release some of that overlay, right? We're not going to, like, hold our breath for that.
I don't think so right now. Short term, we want to build that up. So I serve on a board in a neighboring town where I live. And it's a heavy overlay that we have, but we have similar heavy commercial.
When you say heavy overlay, you mean it's conservative?
It's very valuable real estate, commercial real estate. So we have a lot of money in the overlay to take care of some of these situations.
Okay, all right.
So we want to build it up. So generally speaking, 2 to 5% is what you shoot for in the overlay account. We're below the 2,
Of the commercial property valuation?
just in the overlay in general, because
Oh,
you can
okay.
have you can have all your residential people come to the table and say, I want an abatement.
Yep.
Before you know it, you're pushing out all this money.
Okay.
And then you have some vacant properties in there. We have 135 South Road, and we have a couple other big commercial buildings too that are vacant, that we have 12 cases at the ATB. The ATB is the Appellate Tax Board.
Yeah.
And we're in negotiations with 3 buildings right now. I'm hoping to get those settled, but there's no promises.
Okay, all right. And I'm sorry, just one more point on it, because I kind of breezed past it, is you would not expect in the next, 1, 2, 3 fiscal years to help the budget with releasing any overlay. That's not a practical thing.
I would,
No.
that.
No.
Well,
I don't-
Yeah, no, I'm just kind of, I'm kind of lingering over that, because I do think all the townspeople, leaders, have to really be cognizant of some wins that are coming our way. So, okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you, that's helpful.
Yeah, we're gonna have to upgrade our software too at some point. They're kind of getting rid of our software. We have Patriot, Catalyst software. And the new version's out, has been for 3, 4, 5 years now. And they're kind of pushing us to do that. So I'm thinking right after the reval in '28, the data will be nice and clean, convert then. So that's kind of what I was looking at.
Are you on the capital expenditures committee, list for that, or is that a meeting? I don't think it's for tonight, but we hear you.
It shouldn't be,
Small enough, it might,
it shouldn't be a huge number.
Okay.
I had a quote in another town that I worked in. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of aware of where we stand.
Okay, all right, okay. Anything else, Nancy, or anything else, Rick?
You only go into Bopa.
No, I know, thank you. I think Dan wants to speak, so I'm just going to
No,
jump
I
to
just want to make sure we have a chance to ask questions. What was the new growth number in the budget for this year?
A new growth this year?
What do we have in the budget for new growth in our model for this
yeah,
year?
1.6, and we came in at 1.64 million. So we're close, but yeah,
That was good.
40,000 more than we
We do a
projected.
good job in Bedford, Mass.
Right on the button. Nice job.
Just to reiterate this slide, which is most exciting or distressing, the assessed value has gone up by $1 billion over the past 5 years. The average house value is now over $1 million in Bedford, which is just shocking, but one would not be surprised. I will stand by the comment, no matter 24 months, the unused levy capacity, or is it going to stay there for a while?
The levy?
Yep, unused levy capacity.
I mean, every year we can increase it by 2.5%.
Lenny,
Well, we halved it, so. you
Yeah.
know.
what do you, I'm sorry,
Oh, you
Unused
mean the
levy limit,
unused.
So when is that going to go, when are you going to use up all the levy, you know?
the levy will increase every year by 2.5%.
No, I do understand
No,
that.
but it's,
And the-
obviously, the answer is annual town meeting is going to tell us, right?
Yeah,
To
the
spend
real
it.
answer is how much does the town want to spend?
Yep.
This is our difference between what they want to spend and what we can raise. And,
Well, we will listen to that. Some
you
people
know,
will not listen to that.
we've had a lot of big expenses lately with the fire station. Hopefully, we may not put too much in, but we can't control that.
So, before, are you done yet?
Oh, feel free.
Are you sure? Before I get to my remaining two board members, I do have a member of the public who wishes to speak, I believe.
Bless you.
Addressing Dan's question, it's more likely than not that we'll run through it by FY '28 budget. FY '27 has a little bit left to apply to FY '28.
Just wanted to say that out loud. Thank you, Ben.
So let me,
Doesn't make much of a difference.
for those who didn't hear, the Finance Chair, Ben Thomas, supposed that the levy would be eaten through in the 2027 budget, and, you know, he has some intimate knowledge of the proposed spending. So I am going to move to my left and go to Terry. Do you have any questions?
Just real quick, I did read the memo, and it's, everything that it says in there seems to make sense. Just wanted to summarize.
More, or if people are reading the economy and cutting jobs. I'm not sure of the reason for it, but the rumors around the assessors around the state is
Office, those are struggling everywhere, all up and down the highways. I'm talking to my fellow assessors, I'm talking to CoStar, which is, you've heard of MLS, Multiple Listing Service. Well, CoStar is the commercial version of that. Talking to all the reps over there, they're having the same problems. Some people are even telling me they're starting to rip down some of these buildings and putting up apartments. So there may be a new trend coming here. We have some big money properties here. Industrial right now is doing fine, but if that goes the other way, that's big trouble, because we have 64 parcels and they're $50, $75 million, you know, up in that neck of the woods, a lot of them, you know. So the commercial ones, I think I'm going to have some ATB cases again this upcoming February timeframe when they file.
Okay.
Because I'm sure we have to look at it, and I mentioned I served on another board. When we look at it there, we used to look at it 6 years ago one way. Now we look at it a different way, and we're trying to help the people more, because we're trying to get those buildings filled back up. Or if they're going to be totally vacant, sell them and move on, something like that. But it's not our fault when we value property that they can't rent the space. But in the case of 174, 176 Middlesex Turnpike, 325,000 square feet doesn't exist for one tenant any longer. The digital equipment corporations have gone away. You're gonna have to reconfigure the whole building to bring your tenants in there. And that's some of the big issues on the real big stuff. The smaller stuff, I just really think, like Nancy said, people are working at home. That's a perk for a lot of people. And I think we're running into the obstacles that way.
Okay. Anything else, Sean?
Oh, that's it, thank you.
Thank you.
So from your experience in prior towns, my turn, any particular things you want to mention, like, oh, you might consider this Bedford that we're not doing?
In terms of,
Just big picture stuff.
as far as finances?
Yep. No, fine, assessing. I mean, you know, just sticking with the assessing, right?
As far as assessing, we have to look at a way to figure out our commercial end. Because the more ATV cases, the more settlements we have, it's going to demolish the overlay. And we're trying to build that up.
Yep.
We've had conversations, so that's going to take a couple, 2-3 years to build that up to where we want to, you know, have it to protect ourselves.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing on my plate.
So that's a big thing you want to do.
Right now.
That's all I need.
That's a big fish.
Yeah.
It's a big fish.
Okay. I would say that, just speaking of our board here, is that I personally support the 1.75% shift, and I agree with not recommending the other things. I wonder out loud, well, before I wonder out loud, I will state the following. I will, every day and twice on Sunday, if I can get away with it, have the residents pay less than the CIP, right? However, in reality, I will be mindful in the future, should I still be on this board, about, are we gonna be the board that kills the goose that laid the golden egg on commercial, right? So I think it's fine, 1.75 now.
I agree.
Maybe next year, if we think it's gonna, hurt us so much, we might think about going down to 1.7, or, I don't know what the magic number is, but I'm not forever tethered to the highest, unless I think I can get away with it, because, again, I prefer the residential as low as possible. So it's just an aside. Yes, Rick?
Two things on that. Number one, if you go from 1.75 to 1.7 right now, it would be
Yeah.
another $250 on the average single-family tax bill.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to consider that shift in the future, I'd consider that shift when the commercial market is very hot. It'd be much easier to shift at that point.
Okay, yeah, and again, this is just as I'm sitting here, really,
Sure,
my big
sure.
point to this board is, I'm not always married to it, because whatever optimizes it for the resident is what I am for.
I would agree with you. I was going to say something very similar, but I'm not.
But
gonna say
in a
since we've
pithier way,
already-
no
Point.
doubt.
Good point.
Okay,
Thank you for the
all right.
question.
Yeah,
We
okay.
are aware of it as the board.
Yep, so good,
We did
you'll,
include all the different shifts.
Yep.
About 5 in the extra slides, so you could compare. And including the other
Yep.
towns was also part of the comparison.
Yep.
Are we charging that much more than Burlington? Are we
Right.
charging that much more
Right.
than Lincoln?
yep,
So
yep, okay.
We included that information so you guys can make a reasonable, educated decision.
And then lastly, I'll just say, I thought it was a great presentation. So
Yeah.
thank you both.
Thank you.
It
Thank
was
you very
excellent,
much.
both the
Thank you.
oral presentation and the written materials. Okay, with that, does anyone want to make a motion?
I move that the select board. Oh, I move first of all.
Oh, shoot, thank you. That's what I meant. Okay, I didn't mean that, but go ahead, close it. Let's hear it. Okay, so there's a motion to close the public hearing, and it was seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and any nays? The ayes have it, 5-0.
And I further move
Yeah.
the select board adopt the recommendation as proposed by the Board of Assessors for the .777/1.75 CIP shift.
Second.
All in favor, please. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, any nays? The ayes have it, 5-0.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Keep going, Sean.
I move that the select board support the Board of Assessors recommendation against the adoption of the open space discount.
Second.
Oh,
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any nays? The ayes have it, 5-0.
I move that the select board adopt the Board of Assessors recommendation against adoption of the residential exemption.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any nays? The ayes have it, 5-0.
I move that the select board adopt the Board of Assessors recommendation against adoption of the small commercial exemption.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any nays? The ayes have it. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And are you still new guy, Rick, or is that kind of?
I'm 4.5 months.
No longer new guy. That's not fair.
I'm a veteran now.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you all.
Yep, thank you. All right. Ooh, okay, we have some interviews. Why don't we start with, is Mr. Arnold here? Come on up.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no, you're good. I'm just telling them they
No
don't.
worries.
Yeah, don't feel obliged to stay, Rick.
I mean, it is entertaining.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Rick.
Yes.
Thanksgiving.
I'm sorry. And Benjamin, Mr. Arnold?
Ben is great. Thank
Okay,
you for
Ben.
asking. I appreciate that.
Yep, and please tell us why you're interested in the Trails Committee.
Sure, yeah. I grew up in Bedford. My parents moved here in 2004. Went through the whole school system, so learned critical thinking, actually alongside your executive assistant, Autumn, as well.
Nice. Ooh.
I learned to,
She didn't tell us that ahead of time, I'll
I
just have
actually
you
didn't
know.
recognize her at first either, it's been a long time, so. But I learned that I love kayaking because of the Shawsheen. I learned that I love to golf because of Patriot Golf Course. I learned to think critically because of BHS, and I learned that I love baseball because of the Babe Ruth system and the varsity sports system here at Bedford High School. So I'm here, I'm back, I'm living with my parents for a little while, and I figured I would do everything that I can to help out, and I figured the best way to do that is with the thing that I love the most, and that's hiking, walking around, enjoying the outdoors. Everything that I do is for the outdoors, so figured I would help.
Okay, I like that. I'm going to open it up to the board. Sean, would you like to?
So thank you very much for applying. I'm wondering if there's anything in particular that you would want to grab onto as a project as a Trails Committee member.
Sure, yeah, it sounds like some of the most important issues are the budget, balancing the budget, figuring out what we need money for. Building bridges sounds like a big deal too. Definitely a handy guy. I helped my dad build the deck in our backyard, so I can help out with that. Whatever is needed for me. I mean, I'm a flexible guy. My job role right now requires me to be flexible and answer to a lot of different types of jobs and requirements and responsibilities, so nothing specific.
Okay, thank you.
Dan?
I've always said that my last committee will be Trails Committee, because it's the most fun committee, the best things. I'm so familiar with our trails, they're a real town asset. Do you have a favorite Bedford trail?
I do.
Which one is your favorite?
It's
We'll
tied
compare
between
notes.
two.
Yeah,
The first one is the Old Res.
that was
but
my number one answer. I mean,
That's mainly because I can walk there from my house. I live over on Old Billerica Road.
Sure.
And then my second, which is pretty close to first, and it's growing on me more, is the Wilderness Park, just because it's
So good.
really well done. It's really nicely laid out. If you want to go further, you can go to Fawn Lake, and no one's ever there. It seems like the parking lot on Lantern Lane is always open, so it's a nice entry point, and I like it the best.
You and I speak in the same language. Thank you for your interest. Welcome back. We'd love to have you.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to have one more question before I keep going to the left, which is, have you been able to attend any of their meetings?
Yeah, I went last Tuesday, got a feel for how the meetings work, and they're actually a lot more similar to what I experienced in my fraternity than I thought. We did the same thing, motioning, voting, seconding, everything like that. I've actually been in your spot on the executive board too, where you have to.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed it. It seems like we're tackling the right issues. One thing that I did get a little hung up on was there was one issue where the state was blocking some action that we have about a bridge that we want to put on state-owned land, and it was going to be more expensive to do so. They wanted it just as tall as it was wide. It was going to be more money. And then the very next topic was on our budget, and we cut it in half. And what I'm wondering is, if in the future the state is going to continue to put new regulations on the type of bridges we can build or what we can do to the trails, how is that going to play into our budget in the future?
Okay, thank you. Bopa?
So, yeah, thank you for your application, and you had mentioned that you grew up here. You know, I wonder, like, what are some of the things in terms of the trail system that you're proud of seeing, like the changes over the years, and then what are the areas that you feel like could have gone further or could have been improved, but you know, we still need to work on?
That's a great question. I haven't really noticed anything that's needed much improving. One thing that actually one of my first questions after the meeting was over yesterday is, am I allowed to, you know, cut back some branches? Am I allowed to move some trees? So the only thing that I found wrong is that there are a lot of branches in the way once in a while. And I never knew if I could touch them. I never knew if I could move them out of the way myself, cut away a little brush or something. But it sounds like that's acceptable, and if anything, that's the one thing that's improved over the last few years.
Thank you.
And Terry?
Thank you for coming forward. Welcome back. And my colleagues asked so many thoughtful questions that I don't have any questions for you.
Excellent. Well, nice to meet you anyway.
All right, Ben, thank you. We're going to move on with candidates, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And Aaron?
Yes.
All right.
Could we ask Ben another question, if there's any other committee that he's thinking of too, or no?
Sure, I'll ask him. And before we start asking you questions, Aaron, I'm going to have one more for Ben, which is,
Sorry.
Ben, are you interested in any other committees should Trails Committee not be available?
Sure.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm flexible. Whatever this town needs, I'm just trying to give back a little bit.
Oof.
Watch yourself.
We got a live one.
Long list, son.
Okay.
We're down to 18 vacancies.
All right, but that's great.
Just one or taking more than one?
I will say, I appreciate Ben's, can do, volunteering spirit. Aaron? How
you doing?
Very well. How are you?
Very good. Nice to meet you.
Likewise. Could you tell us why you want to be on the Trails Committee?
Sure. I'm a new resident of Bedford. Just moved to Apple Tree Lane
Welcome.
a couple months ago. Thank you very much. I got my passion for the outdoors in the Boy Scouts with my dad. So, I'm an Eagle Scout and hike life in New Hampshire mostly, and here in Massachusetts too. My Eagle Scout project was reblazing the trails at Hale Reservation in Westwood, where I grew up. So, always enjoyed the outdoors. Love walking, and excited for the opportunity to help work on our trails here in town.
Okay, super. Have you attended any meetings?
I've been to 2. So I was at last one and the one before.
Okay, super. I'm going to stick far down my right with Sean.
Sure, and I'll ask the same question. First of all, thank you for coming. It's good to see your interest. Is there anything in particular on the Trails Committee you would want to take on as a project that you could spearhead?
The outdoor work is what's most appealing to me. Handiwork, building things, clearing things while you're out there. Similar to Ben, when you're out walking the trails, you notice stuff and you want to improve it. So in the meetings we've been there, we have a lot of wetlands here, as you guys know more than me probably. So the bridges are a necessity. Nobody likes walking in the mud when they're trying to hike. So I'd say full throttle on any outdoor projects I can help with.
Thank you.
Same
Ken.
question. Do you have a favorite Bedford Trail network? There are many of them.
So I've only, we've been busy moving and getting the house all set up. So I've been in the Wilderness one, which I really, really enjoy. It's pretty cool, but excited, only a couple months here. So excited to check them all out though.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, great. Popa.
So similar, but a little different, is you're a new resident, exploring different trails. You've mentioned just now a couple of improvements. What are some other improvements you feel that, you would add or would want Bedford to improve in terms of our trail system?
One thing I saw that they talk about in the meetings is people create their own walkarounds a lot, and it gets confusing when you're out there if you're not familiar with the land. So I think another thing we could add to their very long list of stuff is making those things clear, that this is the trail, because it also affects the environment too when you have tons of side trails and people walking in areas that we're trying to protect and preserve. So looking to make the trails dedicated trails and wean people away from all the offshoots that they've created.
Thank you.
Okay, and Terrence.
I think on your application, you mentioned that you're an investment advisor
Yes.
and that you also volunteer for your local church.
Yes.
Okay. What skill set or skill sets would you take from those to apply to the Trails Committee?
So I was the treasurer of the parish council at St. James Armenian Church for several years. I've been going there since I was a kid. I'm a deacon on the altar there, so a lot of people skills, if you will, working with people that you're, family and friends with. A lot of organizational matters. I learned how, meetings like these run and such like that. The Trails Committee meetings are a little less formal, but learning how that goes. I'm a wealth manager. I've been doing that for 14 years in Lexington. So on the finance side of things, the last meeting we were just at was talking about maybe appropriating some funds from the 3% we pay in our property taxes for environmental improvement. So on the finance side of things, very excited to help out budgetary-wise, anything I can do on that front. Not that there's tons of funds in the account for the Trails Committee, but anything on that front I can add my expertise on.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. I think, speaking to the board, that on the trails, I don't want to vote for that tonight because I think I'd just rather not.
Yeah, if I could add, one of the things that came up in BCC is when we have competitive hearings, that sometimes it's better to deliberate later.
That's exactly what I was thinking. So just to share, it's, we're all neighbors and hopefully friends and this sort of stuff. Should one of you, well, one's going to get appointed, the other's not. We're really hopeful that the other, would, look to serve on another committee. Would you be willing to serve on a different committee, different from?
Possibly.
You would
Yeah,
consider,
I don't-
yeah. So we've maybe in the past, stubbed our toe and hurt feelings, and we do not want to hurt feelings, and we desperately want people to continue to volunteer and be treated well. So it's not being wimpy that we're, I want to vote with you guys present, but we're being wimpy and don't, at least I am. So take a no in the spirit intended, which is we really hope, whoever doesn't take this position would do so in another. And I think all of us here, I'll speak for all of us, I think here is, we couldn't be more sincere on that. We're so grateful that you're coming forward. We're not going to vote tonight on your thing, so do not feel obliged to stay. We're still not going to vote for it, so don't rush home to watch this. But I will also add too, and this is will be for Mr. Albert as well, is just to say, should you get one sooner rather than later, you'll get a nice letter from the town manager saying there's something waiting for you at the town clerk's office, which is you get sworn in, and then you'll get some information about taking like an ethics exam for the state, and just some other stuff you have to know. And so anyway, that's it. Did I miss anything, guys? Lee? Nope, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Feel free to stay, but don't stay if you don't want to.
Appreciate it.
either.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Albert? Aha. So just to clear the decks on this one, Mr. Albert's the only candidate for one open position. So
You can vote tonight on this?
thank you for coming. And would you like to tell us about your interest in the council?
Well, I like to give away money.
Nice.
At home, I study charities for 2 or 3 or 4 days, and before we make our charitable gifts, this is an opportunity to give away money that's not mine, and I think that would be something that I would be good at and something I would enjoy. I'd also like to contribute to the town. We've lived here since 1992.
Okay.
And just really enjoyed the town and the school system and everything.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I've been on the board at the BCA, and I've enjoyed that experience.
Okay.
And so I think that I would just enjoy.
Okay, super, super. I presume you've been to some of their meetings, or have you
I
not?
was at one meeting.
Okay, excellent, very good. With that, I'm going to move down to the other end of the table with Terrence and see if he has any questions for you.
Okay. Thank you for coming forward. Do you have a daughter?
My daughter's Victoria, went to school with your daughter tomorrow.
Correct.
Tomorrow.
You look familiar.
I was thinking the same thing when I.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna recuse myself from asking them questions.
All right, fair enough. Bolpa.
So as you mentioned, one of the fun things is to be able to give grants to different projects. Are there any projects that you feel like, obviously the council has given to various projects already, but are there any that you feel like that you like to see that you haven't seen, or
I haven't really looked carefully at the list of projects that are available, and I can't say there is anything that I've identified.
Thank you.
Okay. Dan.
Are you in the Bedford MA Snapshots photography group, or you do the other photography for events?
Bedford Center for the Arts.
Amazing, because we have Bedford is famous for having this wonderful civilian brigade of photographers take photos of events. And I feel like you'd be in that group, so thank you for taking pictures of football games and volleyball games.
What group is that?
Challenge, so that's great.
What group is that?
It's Bedford Snapshots. Jeff Hoyland started it many years ago, and people go around taking pictures of events they can't go to their kids for. And all my best pictures of my kids are from for snapshots, because I'm unavailable for all the games.
Well, I do that for Special Olympics.
Yeah.
I've shot photos of, my daughter was playing volleyball, and so I started shooting volleyball games, and some of those photos were in the paper.
Awesome.
I also shot a football game once, and I shoot for some other organizations for free. So I'd like to find out about that group, and maybe join them.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Sean?
So with the meeting you went to, was anything surprising to you? Anything that you felt like, oh, I could really jump in and do this?
I felt like, so the first meeting I went to was one that I just do once a year, where they look at the, whether each one of the applications satisfies the requirements. And so I felt I could do that, but that's, the next meeting is going to be evaluating them, and I certainly think that I would be able to join in and do that, but beyond that, I don't have any special thoughts on it.
Well, thank you very much for your interest. I like your background, and I think you'd be very good on this.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, I would be willing to take a motion.
Who's the liaison?
Oh,
Yeah, let's make Bopa do it. Bopa, you got it?
Yes. I move that the Select Board appoint Michael Albert to the Bedford Cultural Council for a 3-year term ending June 30th, 2028, and authorize the town manager to...
Volunteer party that's happening in a few
we'll
weeks.
get him added to our list. 'Cause he might not-
Swear them right in.
Yeah, absolutely. Gets one in a rush because we have a soiree on December
We decided?
18th.
Yeah, Monday,
15th at,
5 o'clock at the Great Wall.
Let's go.
We're such party
so
animals.
it's all the more reason to get
Take it easy.
one in quickly. So thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Good to see you.
Good.
Moving on, I believe we have DPW. Mr. David Manugian. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. We have a number of contracts before you tonight, as well as some changes to the traffic rules and regulations. I'd like to start off with the Weston Sampson Great Road Pump Station. This is a construction administration contract for just under $58,000. One interesting point here is that we've been working closely with facilities. Due to their great institutional knowledge, they noted that there is an opportunity to centralize generator at our Great Road Pump Station and at the Public Works Building across the street. So we're spending a little bit more now, but longer term, we're probably going to be able to take one of those generators out of the mix, so we'll only have to maintain one longer term. So it's a great opportunity here, and we just asked for your support.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board?
That seems pretty straightforward.
All right. I'll take a motion.
I move the board approve the contract with Weston and Sampson Engineers Incorporated in the amount of $57,915 as described in the Public Works memo dated November 17th, 2025, and that the select board authorize the town manager to sign on their behalf.
Second.
Seconded by Bopa. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it, 5-0. Next.
Thank you. Next contract is with TEC and is for the redesign of the Summer Street culvert. And this is the bridge, the Shawshene River, where Summer Street goes over it. And this contract is to bring it through final design and construction. And we're still within the existing budget for it.
Okay. Questions from the board? Not one. Any motions?
I
Dan?
move the board approve the contract amendment with TEC Incorporated in the amount of $130,000 as described in the Public Works memo dated November 17th, 2025, and that the select board authorize the town manager to sign on their behalf.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0.
Thank you. Next item is a sewer fee deferral request. So the project at 214 Great Road is an increase to the sewer system, and so there are sewer fees related to it for new connections. As has been done with most of the new increases to the system, they've asked for a deferral of fees. So instead of paying them when they get their building permit, they pay prior to occupancy. And so Chapter 51 of our bylaws allows them to request it, and we have no issue with it. The board has approved all of them in the past.
Fair enough. Any questions from the board?
Nope.
Again, you
I
want-
move the board approve deferral of sewer connection and sewer I&I fees for 214 Great Road in accordance with the memo from the Public Works Department dated November 18th, 2025, with all fees to be paid prior to any issuance of certificates of occupancy.
Second.
Okay, that's seconded by Terrence. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it, 5-0.
Great, thank you. Next on the list is some revisions to the traffic rules and regulations. This first one here is changes to the school zone speed regulations. So around each of our schools, we have an area that where the speeds are zoned specific for schools. And so we have certain times of day where the speeds are dropped. And so this is updating those regulations both to be in line with the latest MUTCD, or Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, and as well changing the hours that they're in place. So for example, at JGMS, because we have the high school kids walking across over to the high school, we want to get those school zone regulations in place for those earlier hours as well. And so this is an update to that with all changes to traffic rules and regulations. The select board, as the roads commissioners, would vote on.
Okay. And how wide, if school, I don't know what time school gets out at the middle school. Does anyone?
2:14-ish, both of them.
Okay. How wide of a?
I'm never home, so I don't know.
Something like that.
I'm going to have trouble articulating this, but how long before and after is the special?
So generally, we're looking at 7 to 7:30 in the morning to 4 or 4:30 in the afternoon. So we're looking for when some of the first kids get there till after some of the afternoon sports activities.
But the low speed limit must apply when they get out of school, right? It's not just between 4 and 4:30, is it?
No, it's all there.
From 7 to 4:30.
7 to, okay,
Yep.
I got
Yep.
it. And is this one of these deals where it's like a flashing light, or it's just written that like?
It's posted and enforceable.
Okay, all right. Because you go by some school zones and it says, lower rate when it's flashing. That's not what we're talking about here.
No,
We
no,
don't have any flashing
I don't think
school
so.
zone signs
Yeah.
in Bedford, do we?
Mm,
We don't.
I know there's some in Lexington.
But nothing, not really Concord too, but Bedford.
yeah.
Okay. All right, very good. Sean?
So,
You don't have a question, go ahead.
Okay. So I read in the memo and it described very well about what the regulations are going to be, but could you just kind of summarize what the difference is between the existing state and what is being proposed here?
So one of the changes has to do with updating to the latest MUTCD standards. And so with that, basically, we want to look at the guidance that they and MassDOT have and make sure that that we're consistent as far as the types of signs, locations, size, retroreflectivity. We realized in doing this, we have reviewed it with the town manager's office as well as with staff traffic group. So that's a group including police, fire, town manager, public works. And we realized that the hours that were previously there don't really cover the whole range of activities going on in those locations.
Okay, thank you.
We'll need to order new signs for the different, is it times change too, or just the distances or the regulations? The time the enforcement change, or pushing it back to 7?
Yes, exactly. So we would have, the
Signs.
updated, yep, correct, yep.
So we can pay for them?
Yes, we have, yep,
Great,
yep,
thank you. And this be effective immediately?
correct, yep.
So, so it's like from 7 to 4, somewhere around there, right? When the kids are physically in school, you still need to have the lower speed because just,
The way our schools are set up, say again with JGMS and the high school, you have kids at perhaps at recess or gym crossing over to Sabarin, people going back and forth in between. So it's really that whole period during the school day.
okay. All right. Bopa,
Nothing.
Terrence?
Nothing.
Okay, anything else? We have a motion.
I move the select board approve the updates to the town of Bedford traffic rules and regulations as described in the Public Works memo dated November 3rd, 2025.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it, 5-0. Okay.
Do we have to do the specifics.
I read the wrong one. I read the wrong
Sorry.
one.
Yeah, you
Okay.
did.
All right.
Well, let's try it again.
Okay.
Well, forget that last motion made. I move the select board. Approve and adopt the school speed zone regulations numbers 25-01-SZ, 25-02-SZ, 25-03-SZ, as described in the Public Works memo dated November 18th, 2025.
I'll second that one.
Okay, let's vote on this one. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it 5-0. My apologies, I should have. caught
Someone
that.
stop me.
No, that
Out
was
of
my
control.
fault. I'm the one who let it vote through, so my apologies.
Nope.
All right, we'll see how this one goes, because you read this one, right?
I was just looking at
Well, let's
regulations.
just
Got
see.
really
So
excited.
let's,
Thank you. So we have two left. This one is related to changing the stopping layout at Hancock and Springs. Previously, it was one of a Y-type layout, and we're really slowly trying to move away from those, and we're incrementally changing them over to T intersections. And so here, based on feedback, again, from staff traffic group, we made Hancock the stop road to Springs. Hancock has less traffic than Springs, so through the MUTCD standards, that should stop and give way to traffic on Springs. In addition, by having that stop sign there, we're hopeful that we will be able to deal with some of the complaints on Hancock about speeding. So that has been put into place. Many folks have seen it. In addition to the stop sign, we are going to be having reference signs ahead of it that'll be left up for quite a while, letting people know that there is a stop sign ahead, so as people get used to it.
so I'm sorry, did you say, so it's already been changed?
Correct.
Correct, okay. I'll pick that up the first time. Okay, I'll, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually in my neighborhood, so I'm quite familiar with it, but I'm a little curious because it happened, and now we're where we are now.
That's my
And
question.
when it first happened, I got a lot of feedback from my neighbors, like, why are they doing this? And I just, maybe I missed something, but like, wouldn't that normally come before the board first, before the configuration happens, and then they could explain it to people?
So it's a great question. We kind of went back and forth a little bit. It's a little bit of a chicken and egg situation. When it comes to the changes like this one are typical of some of our general safety improvements related to intersections and intersection controls. There's no special pot of money for this. This is just happening within our budget. It happens incrementally, maybe not one each year, but they are over time being switched over to this layout. We typically follow a design process where we primarily look at traffic loads to figure out which one stops to the other. When it gets to the board is acting as the roads commissioners to take that new stop sign and make it enforceable. So if we were originally thinking, well, we could come to the board and make that stop sign enforceable, but we didn't have a firm date with our contractor yet. And so then we would have a situation where the old stop sign would no longer be enforceable. And so we're just trying to balance. So Sean, you are correct in the sense that it could have been done the other way. In this particular case, we chose this way, but we can certainly, through the town manager.
Yeah, I mean, my recommendation would be to do it the other way, even if you come to us and there's no motion that day, just to kind of give a heads up, like, this is what we're planning.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Ken?
That's precisely what I was going to say, so thank you, Sean.
So, personally, I'm going to vote no or ask for us to wait until our next meeting. Is that I did not get a chance to drive by and kind of get a lay of the land. Want to delay on this one because it's different from the school one. I'm not so sure about the school one, but I'm going to err on the side of I'm not going to second guess experts on school safety. And I have to say, this one's probably perfectly fine, but then I just harken back to the one where you're going up North Road and take the right before Renzo's, and that's a stop instead of a yield, and I'm like, I wish I hadn't voted for the stop. So I just want to go slow on this one. So personally, my no is not a no forever. It's just I want to sleep on it, and anyway, so.
Can I
it's-
just ask practically, though, if we don't vote on it tonight, does that mean that the stop sign is not enforceable for the next couple weeks until while it's out in the public?
So, we've talked about this with the police. We can advise, we can't ticket. So certainly, we want people to be safe. As the roads are designed there, someone coming into a T should realize they should stop and, look both ways and such. But technically, without a vote of the board, it's not enforceable for a ticket.
Great question.
Yeah, so that would be my concern, is not.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think if there's a stop sign there, I don't think we're gonna have much. You can't even call them scofflaws. So it wouldn't be a law, but, I suspect people are gonna stop or not and not be pondering, Our listenership is probably 10 people, so, I don't know. I think I'm okay with this. But anyway, I'm just one vote, so, yeah, okay, yeah, I heard you.
That'll be the headline from Piper. Stop sign will not be enforced.
Piper never quotes me. Oh, my gosh. Okay, BOPA,
I don't have anything.
nothing. Terrence?
I would just echo what Sean said. I think if you come to us beforehand, we could actually take some of the heat if there's, heat out there for you. But, I feel comfortable voting now on it. I wouldn't want there to be any ambiguity out there as to whether or not it's enforceable, so.
Okay, and I'm going to take the chair prerogative, is it? And there's another chair who I think, did you have a comment, Nancy? Because you're welcome to make it.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
This is more of a public concern. I have almost gotten into an accident at this intersection twice since this change, because there's no indication for northbound on Springs that they have to yield to the southbound from Springs. So I'm coming up that hill trying to go to town center, and somebody just goes straight past because they don't have an indication if they should yield, if they should stop. They're going on Hancock, so they just go. But I have the right of way because the stop sign is gone.
Okay,
So I want to bring this up as a comment,
got it.
that this intersection is not as safe as it appears.
Okay, thank you. And Dave heard you. Okay. With that, does anyone want to go forward with it?
Yeah, I think it's important to have the stop sign be enforced, so I move that the select board approve the updates to the Town of Bedford traffic rules and regulations as described in the Public Works memo dated November 3rd, 2025.
Second.
BOPA seconds it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Nay. 4-1, the ayes have it.
And can I actually have a question? I mean, we've approved the stop sign, but to Nancy's point, which I think is a good one, because I thought that at the same time, it's something to me, if I'm going home now tonight, and I go home on Hancock, now I have to yield. And that's something that I didn't have to do before. So I don't know if you can put a sign in front of that saying, left turn must yield.
I took a note. I hear your feedback and feedback from folks here as well. So we'll talk to our staff and see what we can do.
All right.
Great.
Anything else for us?
There was one more piece of the traffic rules and regs that we wanted to update, had to do with signage at 12 Mudgeway. So as you're probably aware, Health and Human Services has a variety of activities going on. They've been increasing over time. And as such, their parking lot area has gotten very busy, particularly certain days of the week. And so they've been working with staff traffic again, and we've come up with a plan to basically create some enforceable parking regulations there. It's really just taking what was there and making it enforceable so that they really can get people through for their critical programs.
Okay. Any questions from the board on this? Seems straightforward, agreed. Any motions?
Technically, it's part of the previous motion, yeah. Yep.
Okay, super. Thank you very much, Dave.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
All right. Okay, we're moving on to the town website.
Yes, the town's website. So those of you who attended the board and committee training a few months ago, you'll remember there was some discussion where town council had noted that in most communities, the town's website is the official public meeting notice location. And we had to make note that technically our outside billboard is really our meeting location. So we're one of the few communities that had not made this change yet. So spent the last month or so, had a few conversations with our town clerk about our website's capability and the fact that pretty much everything is duly posted on the town's website anyways. And we could make that the official posting location, and the billboard would be sort of the courtesy additional publication location. The real benefit to this is that any of the staff that manage a board or committee would, who have access to our town website, are currently responsible for posting their agendas online, but then the town clerk's office is solely responsible for making sure they get on the billboard. And if for some reason it doesn't get on the billboard, we've now missed a deadline. So if I want to have a meeting in 48 hours, but it's 4:30 at night and I'm still finishing up my agenda, I can't get it posted till the next day because the town clerk is gone. This, now if I want a meeting Wednesday night and I'm still working on the agenda Monday at 5:30, well, it's maybe not a good example because the town clerk's office. Day and a Thursday, if you have a staff member staying late, or you need to post something late in the day on Friday for a Tuesday meeting, any time of the day, any of those staff who have access to the website can get it updated. The town clerk gets an email to her inbox noting that the agenda is posted. As soon as offices are open the next business day, she can print a copy and put it on the bulletin board as a courtesy, but we can post in real time as soon as agendas are ready, and they are officially posted as soon as the agendas are ready. It's the common practice in the 3 or 4 communities I've lived in, and it's certainly the majority across the state now. So we included a little exhibit here in the memo, just showing you, if you want to scroll down, all of those WWWs, those are all the communities that have already made the change. So we would be in good hands.
Nice long list.
Yeah.
I think I'm ready.
Okay. Well, Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, I like this, but I'm wondering what happens in the case if the website goes down.
Sure. So if the website goes down, it would have to go down, I believe, 12 hours or more, 6 hours, 12 hours or more, and then we would have to repost the meeting. So that is a possibility. We have not had a lengthy enough outage in the past since any of our staff can remember that that is technically a possibility.
Okay, so it may result in meetings get delayed if we do have an extended outage.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But would you sorry, I'm going out of order.
No, go ahead.
Not sure if this makes sense, but trying to piggyback on Sean's question. So we're saying that the website will be the first source as opposed to the bulletin and town clerk. But for example, if that was to happen, the website was down, but you're not working late and you have sufficient time to post websites down, can't you just post on the bulletin, or the first thing to be a notice is this,
Yeah, so
the site, not the bulletin?
Yeah, it's not really just about being first or changing the process at all. It's really just what the AG's office will recognize as the official posting location. And with this change, the town's website calendar will be the official posting notification. And any other postings we do in town are a courtesy, and they recommend that you still do post the courtesy notice. So essentially, if the website were to go down for an extended period of time, we would have to, you would have to repost those meetings. But
How often does our website go down in the past, however years?
It's never gone down to, in anyone's memory, and for a long enough period of time. Our IT director's been here for, I think, over 10 or 12 years. Never happened.
I'm good.
Is it hosted on site?
No, it's cloud-based.
Awesome.
So, and I'm sure it's multiply backed up. We use Civic Plus, which most municipalities in Massachusetts use. They specialize in municipal websites. So I'm guessing most of the other communities use them as well.
Okay.
Okay, so any other questions on my right-hand side?
Nope.
Left-hand side, any more questions or any questions?
I'll just a comment that I believe this is a change that's happened fairly recently. It's in the Code of Massachusetts regulations that this can be done.
Okay.
And I just think to me, it makes sense.
Yep.
That's where everything is going, so.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyone want to make that motion then?
I move the select board to establish the town of Bedford's website as the official location to post public meeting notices.
Second.
Okay, seconded by this time Bopa. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any nays? There are none. Excellent. Very good. Matt, I think this one's yours. Discuss modified public building hours.
Great, thank you. So the board has discussed this a few times in the past. This started, we brought this trial up in mid-June to start after the July 4th holiday to see how the trial period went over the summer period initially of some modified building hours, really for town hall, town center, and the DPW administrative offices. We reviewed feedback initially at the end of the summer, which is generally a slower period of time. At that point in time, the board chose to extend the trial for about 2 months. Got extended a little bit farther with town meeting getting delayed, so we've extended it about 3 more months now. I have a memo here. I'm not going to go through it in great detail because you've had the chance to read it. I have a little bit of an executive summary towards the beginning. So in your packet, we have some comments here about service levels being either maintained or improved. We have some specific examples that we've outlined. Some great examples from the Department of Public Works in particular. They've actually been able to really expand their coverage to better align with contractor hours with this change due to their higher level of staffing. We note some of the online service increases that were previously available and what we've been expanding over the course of this year for additional permitting going online across multiple departments. We again highlighted some of the benefits to staff as well as what we view as some benefits to the residents. I've highlighted in here community activities as really a reminder about a lot of the activities that we still do after our public hours for our office staff. Certainly you still have public safety activities 24/7 in your library, council on aging, and rec programming, all that occur at all hours, all days of the year. Trash pickup, other types of programs like that that aren't impacted. Touch a little bit on the fiscal considerations and a little bit on the residential feedback summary. As this board knows, there was a pretty lengthy comment thread on Facebook several months ago over the summer when this started. So we correlated all those into an Excel spreadsheet, in favor comments, opposed, suggestions. Sometimes, not that Facebook is the best barometer of how the entire community feels.
It is never. Sorry for
Correct.
speaking so strongly.
Yes, but, to be
A
fair,
mechanism for measurement.
we wanted to put every one of those, comments for the most part in here. I asked the code enforcement officer to put together a memo on his experience, and the IT director put together a memo on some of our online permitting activities we've been working on this year. And as I mentioned, DPW put together a memo as well. So there's a lot of information in here. It's 15 pages long in total, so I won't go over it, but I kind of highlighted what is included in your memo. At this point, we are ready to recommend continuing with the current program. I do put the caveat in there that, nothing I don't think is set in stone. 10 years ago, this probably wouldn't have worked. In this day and age, I do think it works. I can't guarantee what the future will bring, but for the time being, our overall conclusion is that this has been incredibly effective at employee retention, morale, and really most importantly, productivity. You'll remember we don't talk about it a lot in here, but the prior setup included a lot of scattered work from home options that resulted out of COVID, kind of became the norm. I really didn't like that model, and a lot of staff who weren't able to effectively work from home also didn't like that model. And with so many small offices, the major problem I was trying to address is the fact that if you have a 4-person office and each person is a different day that they're working from home, you now have almost every day of the week that you never have a full office. What we found, in addition to just eliminating work from home, is that consolidating the hours with shorter lunch breaks and continuing the extended day, having staff come in earlier or later. A lot of staff are also doing, personal things, doctor's appointments and things on that Friday. So, our sick time seems to have been going down because of that. And having everyone in the office 4 days a week and coming in earlier and staying a little later to get in their hours has been a really productive 4 days of the week versus, again, a not quite as productive, in my opinion, 5 days a week that we had previously. And just one final note, managers are not prohibited from working on Fridays. We still have many managers, depending on what's going on, are coming in whenever they need to get work done. And certainly just the final reminder, because there was a lot of initial confusion about it, this does not affect DPW operations, police, fire, library, or COA. It's really focused on administrative staff, your things at Town Hall, Town Center, and the staff there. With that, I will take a breath.
All right, thank you, Matt. I am going to start immediately to my right with Dan.
I think we've now tried it for the better part of 6 months. I think the concerns we've heard have all been like, what if this happens? What if this happens? And none of the what ifs have happened. So as far as evidence is going, I think we've heard a lot of reports from staff who are happy, which is not surprising. A lot of concerns from residents, which have not been borne out by reality. I'm inclined to support it. I'm not all the way there as a permanent move, but I think so far it's worked out pretty well for the town and for its employees.
Sean.
Yeah, so I have a few things to say. I do appreciate the memo with the feedback. And, as a select board member, I do try to be responsive to public feedback. My take on it as the feedback was mixed. It was not strongly opposed or strongly in favor. And I think the staff definitely benefited from it. I also appreciate in the mentioning this in interviews. So I know we're in a budget crunch, and I think the ability to offer something non-monetary as an attraction to town employees is very helpful. So I like that. I also appreciate the fact that this was extended from September, because I know there was some concern if we made a decision in September that not a lot of people were paying attention. So now we have, as Dan mentioned, 6 months of data. So I think we're seeing how this is going. I have a couple questions. One is, do you anticipate this affecting other negotiations with, say, people that work for the town that do have to do 5 days a week, like some of the unions?
Sure. No, that's a great question. That hasn't been the experience in the other communities that have implemented this, and I think there's a number of reasons for that. Certainly in Tingsboro, I think it's probably 4 or 5 years at least since we had made the change before I had come here, if I had to remember back, and it never became an issue there. The DPW there, for example, that union was set up very similar to ours, where they start really early in the morning and end by 2:30. Those folks tend to really like that schedule. Many of them have second jobs that they can go do partly in the afternoon with tree work, things like that. And also just by its very nature as a town service with laborers involved, it would be hard to ask many of our laborers to do in sort of an 8 to 7 day like we do in an office, just by the very nature of their job. Whether there's a lack of sunlight in the afternoon, you can't be mowing lawns at 5, 6, 7 at night. You can't be filling potholes, during the afternoon rush hour. So operationally, if that request did come up, we wouldn't approve it for that reason. But again, they've negotiated an earlier and earlier day, so it works well. It's sort of an off-peak hours. And the only other union we have are police and fire, and I think, as this board knows, they already have their schedules have changed over the years from when they originally started. Most fire departments a long time ago, for example, had 10s and 14s, so you would work 4 days. You'd have afternoon shifts and evening shifts, and almost all of the fire departments in the state now have, certainly almost all of the union ones have moved to 24-hour shifts, which basically the fire unions just negotiated that they're working 4 days a week and they're already doing nights and days. They just asked to be able to squash those days together. So they worked the same number of hours but had more sort of time, if you will, in their schedule to be at home. So rather than 4 scatter days, it's 2 full days. Similar things have happened with, police for flexibility. Many years ago, most communities moved to a 4 on, 2 off schedule rather than a 5 on, 2 off schedule because they have to work on weekends and things. That gave them a lot of additional days off during the course of the year. And, some additional flexibility as far as every 3 months they rebid their shifts if they have family situations and they want to start working nights again, or if working in or work better for them. So it's really hard to compare DPW workers, police officers, and firefighters to administrative staff in town halls. So that's why I think it hasn't been an issue in any of the communities that I'm aware of that have made the change.
Okay, thank you. And my other question was there any consideration to the off day being other than Friday? Let's say Wednesday, that way, there would be not 3 straight days of not the town meeting?
I think it was, thought about or discussed. The communities that have modified the work schedule, all of them on the list. We're not aware of any other community that's done that. I don't have like a great rationale for it, other than the communities that have done it have all chose to go with the Friday. I do think that's probably more and more common. I know a few communities this year, mostly the larger communities that haven't gone to half days, Fridays yet, are, some of them are thinking of doing the Friday and adding a late evening. In most communities that have done it, I think have gone from either the half day Friday to the full day. So where Friday was already the half day, and then a lot of them just shifted those hours or made staff modify their schedule. It was just sort of the natural progression of things.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else, Sean?
That's all I got.
And we'll go to you, Boca.
So I do hear, first of all, I appreciate this very in-depth information that you've shared, and I probably things that I'm asking, and I do see a lot of pros to this in terms of cost efficiency and retention and all of that stuff. I do hear, the concerns as well, which we appreciate. In terms of communities that are fully adopting this, how many are they that are actually fully adopt? I know that a number were testing, but have they just fully?
So the survey that we did initially, we included only towns in our population range 10 to 15,000.
Yeah.
It was, I believe, 16 out of 40, so it was around 37% roughly. I'm going back to that June
Okay.
data.
Sorry, I missed. And then in terms of Sean's question about the days, in this, again, I may have missed this, or it's probably here. Have we done, in terms of, walk-in counts, per week, during the weekday, an hour, and the call patterns during the week, and then kind of see, what's, in terms of, just to look at which days are actually the busiest?
Yeah, yes, Mondays are by far the busiest, even if you don't account for us being here for a longer day. I know, if you look at the call count at the very end of the memo, the second to last, you'll see their calls are much busier on Mondays, and then it gradually goes down each day of the week. That, I would say, is very representative of how foot traffic was in my last community and here in Bedford before we even implemented the trial, which might go back to helping to answer Sean's point. The Friday morning into early afternoon, what was always the slowest day, has always been the slowest day in town hall anyways, for whatever reason. So I guess, is it gone up on the other 4 days, or? I guess we didn't do foot counts of traffic on Fridays before the start. So we don't have that data specifically.
Okay.
We do have the intangible in the memo from the town clerk's office, she noted that over 8 to 4 on the Friday that, again, this is after we started the trial and we had publicized it, though 3 additional folks came in over the course of that day. 2 looking to pay bills and 1 was looking for another office. Yeah.
Okay.
So me?
You good, Bob?
I'm good.
And I'm sorry, Terrence, your turn.
Sure. Matt, I'd like to commend you and praise you for all the work that you've done on this. I tried to go through all of the stuff and I couldn't even get through it. I noticed that in the packet you got memos of support from the Director of Code Enforcement, the Director of IT, and DPW Director. I again go back to what Sean said about the fact that we can offer some non-monetary benefit to help keep us competitive with other towns. But also, I'd like to emphasize the fact that, I guess in your memo, it says that the town will save at least $10,000 just in, not being open on Friday. And I do note that in the graph that you referenced, where you have the cities and towns between 10,000 and 14,000 population, if you add all of the towns that have a half a day on Friday or Friday off, it's probably around 80 to 90%.
Yeah.
And when I think of the people that have issue with this change in schedule, it kind of reminds me of any time that I've been in an organization that are trying to meet on the same day. You get these emails and you get texts, and you might have someone use something like Doodle, or you try to figure out what's the most convenient day. And regardless of how hard you try, there's always going to be someone who says that that day or that time slot is not convenient. So I think that's what's really going to happen here. If it doesn't really matter what you do, there's always going to be someone who's going to be unhappy. But I think overall, if you just look at what most benefits the town, I think this schedule does it. You have employees that are happy. You've got potential recruitment tool. You're saving money. I don't really see an overall downside to this. And then finally, what you said in your memo and you reiterated here, I think is really true, is the fact that this may not have worked 10 years ago, and it may not work in the future. But right now, it seems like the right thing to do, at least, that's my opinion. And we're not wedded to this. So, sometime in the future, we get all of these complaints and there's, legitimate concerns, then we can revisit it. So, I would support this. I think this is the right thing to do.
Okay, my turn. So I think I spoke before where I said I was against it because I think townsfolk, I think it's fair for them to think that, the town hall should be open during normal Monday through Friday hours. I don't think that's unfair of them. But I must admit our experience, I think, leads us to conclude that it's worked out fine enough. And things are going to lead me towards voting to approve this. One is the strength of the town manager's recommendation, because his opinion means a lot to me, one. And two, I would prefer to, instead of saying in perpetuity, to the extent the select board can do anything in perpetuity, is just continue it through to the end of the financial year and revisit it again. And, if it continues to be all well, we just keep doing it every 6 months. I think that that's what I would be comfortable with. I would ask the town manager if we were to do it that way, extend it to the end of the fiscal year and then revisit it. Is that too clunky that it's not something that's going to, be the boost to the morale that you would like? Is it too much of a half a loaf, or do you think that would do the tricks that you want?
Yeah, no, I honestly think that would be fine. I think it recognizes that, I think just based on the conversation here, if there's, any staff listening, or if I need to go relay the next steps to them, it will be that we're going to continue with the status quo right now, kind of revisiting it or discussing it again. I think also, signals to the residents that, you'll see in here that I didn't put in a motion saying, we approve this indefinitely or permanently. It's my recommendation to continue as well. And when we did this in Tingsboro, just to make sure everyone was fully comfortable, I think the trial period went on for 1.5 years until it reached a point, because we wanted everyone to be fully comfortable with it, that just became the new norm. And eventually you don't need to keep bringing it up every 6 months, but it's good to check in on it. Again, I'm not married to it. I didn't come to Bedford with the idea that I'm going to bring schedule. Really had no inclination of it until the first year here of figuring out the schedules and seeing what was working and what wasn't working, and talking to staff about what might be a better model. We talked about it for a long time before we decided to actually try the model here, but it wasn't my inclination to come here, and we'll see how the future brings us.
Gotcha. Okay, so I would ask board members just direction. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and make the motion. Just wild night. I move the select board continue the work hours such that Friday's not a work day through the end of the current fiscal year.
Second.
It's been seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it, 5-0. See, I'm one of the town workers to see Mortensen moved it. That was a joke. Okay, just not funny. Okay, all right. Consent.
I'm good.
I am too, actually. Notwithstanding the sign.
It's a sign.
I know, but
What are you
it's
talking
brought forward by the cultural center. I don't know. I could be inconsistent on this one. It's too late. Okay, but I don't think I am. I'm sorry, was there a motion?
And it was seconded.
And it was seconded.
Yeah. Autumn,
Okay.
right?
Do we have to do these separately?
I'm fine with approving all of the items in the consent agenda. I just say as presented.
So I'm.
But what about what Autumn said?
No, it's.
I'm kidding, I'm sorry. So you moved it.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it, 5-0.
So in my opinion, I think those would be there in case you wanted to take one out separately or split them
like the
apart.
Like the sign one,
Like
yeah.
Fine for Paul.
Yes.
Just not tonight.
Right on.
Okay.
All right.
Town managers report.
Start with the main town manager's report. So very, very happy to announce that Bedford has been certified as a climate leader community. We swapped out our photo here. We have Erin Dorr, and you'll remember that other face there, smiling face, Andres Correa, our prior energy manager, who did a lot of work on this with Erin side by side. So we're now eligible for an additional $150,000 for technical studies and $1 million via the Decarbonization Accelerator grants to support project implementation. So congratulations to Bedford being part of the second tranche of climate leaders. You'll see some fire station progress.
Show Tony that people can smile in photos when they win things.
I know.
That's the example of how to look happy when Bedford gets glory.
I'll print a copy for them. They were very proud of that certificate. Some great vertical construction starting at the fire station at 139 the Great Road. Beginning December 1st, we will be expanding curbside food waste collection to all households. It's a public-private partnership with Black Earth, supported by a $20,000 grant from DEP. So they'll be offering a discounted service rate for the next 3 years. So it'll be provide a $20 annual utility rebate for the new and renewable subscribers. So you receive a free starter kit and you can choose from either weekly or bi-weekly options.
Is that done automatically, the $20 annual rebate, or do you have to apply for it?
Ooh, I don't know. That's a good, yep, I'll check on the rebate.
As a Black Earth subscriber, I'm curious.
Okay, I will check into that. Town clerk's office has continued to make improvements to the vital record storage in the vault. That's disbinding older records and continuing the old green books being replaced by the new red storage books. Council on Aging hosted some student volunteers, so they want to thank Kate and Catherine from Bedford High School for their volunteer works. Moving on, the comprehensive plan has kicked off and is looking for your input. All of the engagement tools are now live, and it's time to dive in. So you can take the survey by clicking the link in the TM report or checking the comprehensive plan portion of the website under the town planning department. Winter recreation, youth and adult programming beginning on December 1st. We have a link here to their brochure. Please check it out. Food bank demand has surged recently. I'm sure everyone knows what's been going on at the federal level. We are now supplying up to 220 households weekly, so we're up 50 to 60% over this time last year. Appreciation to those who have donated, and special thank you to Not Your Average Joes for contributing $10,000 from their first monthly sale.
Wow.
That's wonderful.
Wow.
So we're very, they've been a great partner, great to work
And
with.
they said that they would, so thank you to Joe, not the actual Joe.
Yeah. Youth and Family Services, they hosted their second annual Yellow Tulip Project planting event where they planted over 100 yellow tulips outside of the town center building. Special thank you to all of the staff there who participated. A few public work project updates here. Let's see, we have sidewalk inspections on Spring Roads, Crosby Drive, pedestrian island. Recently constructed Hartwell Boardwalk project is ongoing. The Bottleneck Grant is underway for traffic signal upgrades on Great Road, and the Reeves Road water main project was completed last month. Pavilion soil tests were underway. We kicked off that project right away after the special town meeting vote, and we are looking to get that out to bid as early as January for being in the ground there in the spring. So moving right along with the pavilion project. The library department is working on their long-range strategic plan. They've received close to 550 community responses, and they're going to be having focus groups in the current months. So a great opportunity to get involved with library planning there. Economic development, cultural updates. So Fourth Power and MIT Incubator has signed a lease for a portion of 44 Middlesex Road. So we will be providing you some more information on that in the near future. The RFP at 210 Springs Road was issued by DCAM with a December 8th deadline due to a technical issue, but they did receive, I believe, 12 or 14 proposals during the first round. So we expect the same number, if not more, the second time around. Cultural District is working on repairs at 10 and 12 Mudge Way. Cultural District submitted an annual grant request for $15,000, and we're just waiting on confirmation of that award. Veterans Day, great photo here of members of the Select Board and Bedford Minutemen at Veterans Day. It was certainly cold, but we had a great community showing. So, congratulations and thank you to all the residents who came out in support of our veterans. Flavors of Bedford. Sad I wasn't able to go this year, but we had a great turnout November 12th for the Ent Hill and Marriott Boston and Borica in Bedford. Holiday events coming up Saturday, December 6th. Mark your calendar. The 4th annual Indoor Artisans Market will be open from 2 to 6, and downstairs the First Parish children will be able to go to the Children's Fair from 2 to 4:30. And this year we're going to have an outdoor artisans market running from 2 to 6 on both Saturday and Sunday, December 6th and 7th. So it's a big expansion of the program this year. A lot of new vendors, and then the tree lighting and visit from Santa later that evening. for employee appreciation, we have a holiday breakfast, which we do annually, just coming up on December 11th. And welcome to new staff member, Scott Bailey, our highway equipment operator. Some feature jobs we still have. We're still trying to fill a crossing guard position, so please spread the word if you know of anyone who would like to do just a few hours a day to help out in that position. Dispatchers and a social worker at the Council on Aging. We'll just wrap it up with our image submission and volunteer opportunities. And it'll be attached here, my goals and financial update. We got those done a little bit late today, and we were starting to drop them in the packet, so I don't have it up on the screen. But from the Select Board Goals update, I just want to note regarding the fire station, we reached out to MAPC, the existing fire station, to gauge their interest in helping us out with some public forums, community forums. And they're definitely interested. They're working on putting a proposal together for, us and you to review on how they would envision potentially 3 public forums on the reuse of 55 the Great Road. So I look forward to sharing a proposal with the board, hopefully in one of your next 1 or 2 meetings, to see if that's how we want to proceed. That's all I have for right now.
Matt, you talked about the fire station. Can you just give us an update on the historic district, what they came back to us on the stone wall?
Oh, sure, yes. Contingent upon the owner of the manse directly abutting the fire station, they were amenable, and we reached out to the owner. They were fully amenable as well. So rather than having the new stone wall on both sides of the fire station and then abruptly end at the round river stones in front of the manse with the columns there, they said if you can afford it within your budget to continue it there, so it's a continuous new stone wall. They felt like that was a reasonable approximation. It just hasn't been officially approved yet because we had to go back to our design team and have them put the designs together. So we did a small change order to have the design done. They had to shoot some more elevations in front of the rest of the sidewalk there, but long story short is, it is progressing. It had, I think, near unanimous support from the HDC with that small change.
That was really great of them to reconsider it, and thank you to Karen Khalil Brown, is that how you say it? That was nice of her to bring that back, so that was great. Thanks. Liaison reports. We'll start with Sean.
Yeah, so, let me take my paper out. So, started with the Planning Board Comprehensive Working Group. That's going to be a good effort to realize that plan. And one item marked on your calendar, January 8th, is a public session in the Read Room where we get a lot of community feedback about what people want to see about Bedford. BCC meets tomorrow morning with some more applications to go through, and Depot Park is still getting ready for the VFW building teardown, which we're gonna have a ceremonial sledgehammers.
Nice, nice.
Not yet.
Okay. Anything else, Sean? Dan?
I went to ESC last week. Of note, number 1, you probably saw it, the expansion of curbside food waste collection, trying to increase household participation to 1,000 over the course of a short amount of time. How it saves some money if that happens, which is great. And surprisingly, no one, they have strong feelings about the staffing position for the ESC coordinator, which they'll be at our next meeting to talk about, I assume. So I think we can all predict what they're going to say. I did not participate or vote in that discussion as a select board member.
Anything else, Dan?
Nope.
I am going to skip over to Terrence.
Okay, I attended the HDC meeting on November 6th, in addition to dealing with the Stonewall issue. They've recently been dealing with a lighting issue with regard to Chase Bank. Some neighbors have been complaining that the lights were on too long, and they're trying to resolve that. On November 12th and 19th, I attended the CapEx meetings. November 12th, we went over the DPW and CPA projects. On the 19th, we rated those projects, and I guess CapEx is scheduled to come before us on December 8th. The Fire Station Building Committee met on the 19th. Stonewall is gone. Everything's on time. There's no safety issues. Library trustees met on November 18th, and they replaced a library trustee due to the untimely passing of the late Abby Hafer. HVAC met on the 18th, and there was a representative of ICE that showed up at the meeting. It was pretty interesting. A number of the commissioners had detailed questions for ICE. They really didn't have answers. They said they'll come back to the next meeting with those answers, and that's about it.
Okay, very good. So I'm going to go next, and I want to start with, I went to Veterans Day, and I think all of us were there, which was really, really nice. And again, I applaud the town manager, Matt, coming as well on a day he did not have to. I think that's, no, seriously, it's just fantastic. Thank you. That means a lot to people. And it struck me that I really enjoy that stuff. And the best part, hands down, of being on the select board is meeting new people in town. We have so many great people in town, it's crazy. So that is my left-handed way of saying that I am definitely going to run for re-election. And the select board meetings aren't about, being on the hustings. It's about, the business of the town. So just keep it short. I love being a select board member, and I hope I'm doing a good job, and I'm going to work hard. So now I leave, and nothing for liaison reports. Bopa.
Thank you, Paul. Just like you, I want to thank the Patriotic Holiday Committee for, their good work in organizing the events. I didn't get to go to my committee's meetings, but I did connect with staff and chairs. And to answer your Paul, not sure if you remember, but the 300th anniversary of committee I had talked about, they're looking to do a 501(c)(3), and then I didn't have an answer for you then. I do have an answer for you now that they discussed it this time around, and they want to take that route first because it would give them more flexibility. And then the Rec Commission met. They gave an overview of Springs Brooks Park and Summer Adventures, and both directors were there, and Springs Brooks Park, we continue to Mary, who is the director. She's really doing a good job. Revenue is up. At the same time, expenses and everything's up as well. And they also discuss finalizing the Springs Brook Park Study Master Plan and trying to get a time to present to us. And, a lot of these things that we are working on, I really enjoy, helping our town to progress and move forward, and I enjoy the work that I do here as well, so I too will be running for re-election.
Okay, that is superb. Thank you, Popa. Continuing on with liaison reports, I am going to call a friend on liaison reports. Mr. Chair of the Finance Committee, I think, wants to add to liaison reports.
Name and address, right?
Yes.
But I'll skip the two. Ben Thomas, Apple Tree Lane. I wanted to catch up with you guys a little bit because we were a little bit late this year getting the guideline memo out. As you recall, it was kind of a busy fall. We did a lot of things. We've moved to a new financial model, which is much better than the one we had, but it took a little bit of time for everyone to get used to it. It gives us what we think is a better chance of getting more accurate information more quickly. And I also want to say thank you for allowing us to use up some of your town manager's time. He's fantastic, knows the answers to every question I ever ask, and is always available. What's the meat of it? I can't tell you what free cash is going to be because it hasn't been certified yet. That means CapEx number beats me. I don't know. All I can tell you is we're sticking to our policy of we won't advocate spending more than half of free cash for all uses of free cash. We are looking at Leaving the stabilization fund alone, it's a little bit over $8 million. The policy is 6%, so it's well over 6%. It's a little over 7%. So we're just going to let it accrue its interest, and that's it. I feel comfortable with that, as does the committee. We're going to leave the Finance Committee reserve alone at $750,000, no additions, no subtractions. Just let it be the same as last year, which worked out to be a pretty good number. Now comes the number you care about, 2.5% for everybody. At that amount, we're using up 2/3 of what we are carrying forward for free cash. You saw a $3 million number for unused tax levy. We're leaving the year with under $1 million, because we thought it'd be nice to leave a little bit of money for FY28 to get us going, but it doesn't solve any big problems. I know there's going to be some hardships. I know it's going to be hard to get there, but I am absolutely convinced that even though times might be tough, we can get through this if we just all cooperate and work together. That's pretty much, I thought you'd like to know this.
Thank you very much. Dan?
Everybody?
Everybody, everybody,
Schools too?
everybody, everybody.
So I saw a big number last week from the schools that was not 2.5.
Well, they can put up whatever they want because we'll have to work it out.
Thank you. All right.
And yes, I think the O word will in fact be in common use this year.
Okay. Y'all good? You all set?
I'm all set unless you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You can always ask us questions.
Thank you, I appreciate that. All right, I think our business is concluded.
On that note.
Yeah, on that cheery note, happy Thanksgiving.
Party? Having a party?
Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? We're adjourned. Thank you very much.